Hey everyone. So today we're going to dig into a really common mystery in the AI world, something I'm sure a lot of you have seen. Why is it that so many AI governance plans, the ones we spend months building, why do they fail? And maybe even weirder, why do they fail so quietly? I mean, it's a super frustrating problem, right? You build the system, you write all the rules, you do everything by the book, and things still go wrong. But not with some big explosion. It's more like this slow, creeping feeling that it's just becoming irrelevant or risky. So let's really get into this because the answer is probably not what you're expecting. And this right here, this is our central clue. See, the failures we're hunting for, they aren't these random one-off accidents. No, they're repeating. They're predictable. And if you know what you're looking for, they're actually detectable patterns. And that changes everything. I mean, really think about it. If these problems were totally random, what could we even do? We'd just be in constant crisis mode, right? Just putting out fires. But because they follow these patterns, we can actually switch our whole approach. We can stop being firefighters and start being, system listeners. We can actually spot the little signals before they turn into a huge mess. Okay, so in our little investigation here, we've basically got two main types of suspects we need to keep an eye on. First, you have technical patterns, then you have human process patterns. One is all about the machine, and the other, that's about us. And you absolutely cannot ignore one or the other because that's how you get these massive blind spots. So let's check out our first suspect. All right, first up, the technical patterns. These usually show up as this quiet little thing we call drift. And it's not like the AI just suddenly breaks down. No, it's way more subtle than that. So, governance drift is basically what happens when the AI's whole understanding of the world just gets old. Just imagine you gave an AI a map of a city, say 6 months ago. Now that map is still technically perfect, right? But out in the real world, the city has built new roads, torn down some buildings. The AI isn't wrong exactly. It's just that its world isn't right anymore. And these are the telltale signs you gotta be listening for. Your AI's outputs, they might still sound perfect, but the insights just feel stale. Or maybe it confidently explains a decision, but it's using factors that just don't matter anymore. And what about those super rare edge cases you planned for? Yeah, suddenly they're popping up every single week. That is the signal of drift. Okay, let's move on to our second category of patterns. And honestly, this one can be even more dangerous. We're talking about the human patterns. This is where we find something called governance friction. And look, this next part is absolutely critical to get right. When we see people breaking the rules, what's our first instinct? To blame them, right? But that is a huge mistake. These are not moral failures. They are powerful, powerful signals that the system itself is flawed. So governance friction, it's what happens when people, usually with the absolute best intentions, have to go around the safeguards just to get their work done. The process itself is getting in the way. It's creating friction, so they find a workaround. And here's what this actually looks like on the ground. It's that review that gets skipped just this once, except it happens every single time a deadline is looming. It's the manager who just waves through an AI's output without checking it because, hey, we're in a rush. And before you even realize it, that little exception you made for an emergency, it's now just how things are done. So the takeaway here is really, really important. If one person skips a step, okay, maybe that's on them. But if a whole team is consistently skipping the exact same step, the problem isn't the team, it's the step. Your process needs debugging, not your people. But you know what? Pattern recognition isn't just about finding all the stuff that's broken. It's also an amazing tool for spotting what's actually working. So you can do more of that. When you start seeing patterns like these, that's when you know your governance is really starting to mature. Fewer last-minute emergencies, that's a sign your new checks are actually working. Spending less time fixing an AI screw-ups, that means your review process is adding real value. These are success patterns, and honestly, they're just as important to find as the ones that signal failure. Okay, so let's put all this detective work to the test. We're gonna run through a quick case study. All right, here's the setup. You've got a team that uses an AI to generate their weekly summary reports. And for a few months now, they've been noticing that, the numbers are always correct, but the insights the AI is pulling out, they just feel totally irrelevant. And here's the big clue. Nobody has changed the AI's configuration at all. Okay, so what do you think? Based on everything we've talked about, are we looking at a technical pattern here, a drift? Or is this a human process pattern, some kind of friction? You got it. It's a technical pattern. See, the AI didn't break, not one bit. What happened was the business around the AI changed. New priorities, different market conditions, new goals for the team. The AI is still doing a perfect job of describing the world it was trained on, but that world just doesn't exist anymore. And that's what good governance is all about, listening for exactly this kind of misalignment. And that really brings us to the fundamental shift in how we have to think about all this. Truly effective AI governance isn't about fixing things when they break. It's about listening. So you have to stop asking, did something break after a crisis has already happened? Instead, you need to be proactively constantly asking, what is repeating here and why? What is that repetition telling me about my system? Seriously, that one question changes the entire game. Because that repetition, whether it's a technical drift or human friction, it's never, ever just noise. It's pure, high-quality information. It's a signal telling you exactly where your governance system is under stress and where it needs your attention. So I'm going to leave you with this one question to take back with you. Just look at your own processes, your AI tools, your teams. What is your system quietly repeating day in and day out? Because I promise you, the answer to that question, that's the real key to making your governance actually work. Thanks for tuning in.